So last night I was doing some preparation for some. Well, like you said, it's always evolving.
Yeah.
So last night I was doing some prep for some videos that we're going to have to do to basically improve the security roadmap because some things have changed.
Yeah.
One of the things that has changed in conditional access policies. So in Azure, there is a feature called conditional access that lets you set up policies that help do things like enable MFA for certain users, like administrators. So,
Like segments or groups of users.
And you can do things with conditional access policies. You can do things like, only allow users to log into their account if they're located inside the United States.
Yeah, like I just went, like this summer, I went on a trip to the Bahamas
and couldn't log
in.
Oh,
and I was like, damn it, but that was probably a good thing,
That
right?
was why and we've got a client who they've got users that regularly go out of the country, and we've told them in the past that maybe you should let somebody know when you go out of the country, and
right.
Then a few months later we get an angry phone call.
I'm just curious, could they have have a special group that's like traveling group,
Sure.
and then every time this user has to travel, they just put them in that group, and all the rules and policies would apply?
Totally.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, in conditional access, Microsoft, I think about a year ago, they introduced a bunch of what they were calling baseline security policies that you could enable in your tenant. One of the policies,
so they've kind of pre-built that, put into that policy list.
yeah. So
right?
these were policies that just showed up automatically, and they weren't enabled, but they were there just in case you wanted to turn them on and try them out. One of them basically enabled MFA for all of the admin roles. So whether it was an Exchange admin or global administrator, whatever,
just an admin,
a whole list of admin roles that if you had one of those roles, then it turned on MFA for your account. There was another one in there that turned on MFA for all users. And so several baseline policies that were very useful because you didn't have to go in and manually create those policies. Those policies are going away next month. All of those things are disappearing.
If you're using them, or do they go away?
If you're using them, they won't go away.
Okay.
Actually,
we don't know, right?
I don't know, actually. That's a good
how do you know they're going away?
How do I know?
Yeah. Did they tell you that they're going away?
I had a vision.
I personally know that they were going away. The reason I know that they're going away is because I logged in to take a look at to take a look at the new feature that basically they've shuffled all this into, and
they're not there anymore.
Well, and discovered basically there's a flag that says these policies are going away in February. And I'm like, well, that's kind of a problem.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Let's pull behind the curtain a little bit. So, people who log into the admin center, maybe once a month, maybe once every 3 months.
Sure.
It's vastly different.
Sure, it changes every time.
But you log into it almost every single day.
Almost, yeah.
And it still changes
and it still
to
changes
a point where you have...
And still surprises me sometimes. I'm like, well, wow, I didn't... Like, the new feature that all of that stuff is getting shuffled into is, it's called security defaults. And it's something that is available to every 365 tenant, which is why...
As like a sort of a baseline security default.
Yeah,
right.
Except now instead of being able to enable individual policies, you get a switch that you turn on, and it turns on basically all of those things. So it turns on MFA for admins. It turns on...
Oh, so they're trying to develop like a list of policies that should be like the default standard. Is that kind of what it's about?
Yeah, and it's something that won't be enabled by default, but it's something that any tenant can go in and enable. And it's going to be really nice because it will be a very easy way for any organization to improve their security immensely, because it's going to do things like it enables MFA for everyone. Essentially, it prevents legacy authentication from being used. There's a whole list of things that it turns on.
So it's kind of like a baseline default of good security things to enable.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it's
I can
security defaults.
Those quick wins.
Yeah, there's quick wins. I can
Yeah.
envision us having maybe like a training or class around that, right? Sort of like here's what you should do.
Yeah,
You do
well,
this.
we're actually we're one of the videos that we're going to record today, later today. I'm basically bringing up that feature because it's related to MFA. We're going to
Yeah.
talk about MFA today in one of the videos, and so
I guess in my head, it feels like we have a program with this security roadmap program, which will just basically be the thing you need to know, right?
Yeah.
It's an evolving video document in a
Sure.
sense that would be everything. It's like the greenhorn. It's like the everything you absolutely need to know, and none of the stuff you don't need to know, right?
right,
But that's kind of the problem with this whole security thing is that the landscape's evolving and changing,
Sure.
and the software features are improving or evolving. Users and clients are busy. It's something you need. It's like security, right? It's like you have to, the threats change, and you have to, if you're trying to protect your house, the type of threat may change, and the type of technology used to protect your house may change, and it's an evolving threat that you need to keep checking on it every once in a while, right? It's just not something you can set and forget, right?
right.
There's another really big tool that I found very useful for just figuring out what people need to do, that I've always liked and really was a big proponent for, was the Secure Score. So,
Sure.
from my understanding of it is it's like a credit score for the security posture of your company, right?
Okay, I'll give you that.
Yeah,
Sure.
but I just logged into it, I think about 2 weeks ago, and I saw now it's talking about more like the percentage of, have you seen this thing? It's in preview. It talks about what's the percentage level that you have enabled most of the security features in 365. So I don't know if I like that. I kind of like the idea of a score,
Right.
but I know that a score is sort of, depending on your industry and the type of threats that are against you, a score may not be as relevant to you to some than others, right?
Right. Yeah.
So it's relative in some ways. But I know that Microsoft has like a dashboard that says, you're in this industry. Based on your industry, this is what you look like in your industry, right?
Right.
So all that good stuff too. But is the security score a good kind of like, I guess, what would we call that? Kind of analysis or assessment of like where you stand?
Sure. Yeah. And basically, when you go in there and look at that score, it doesn't just give you the score; it gives you a list of things that you can do to improve that score.
Right.
So, and that's why it's useful, because you can go in and say, okay, I want this number to be better. I want to be more secure. So, what do I do? What kind of things do I do? And some of them, honestly, are things that may not be that useful, like going in and reviewing the same rules that you looked at last week.
Right.
It's a good idea to look at that stuff, because
It could change or got disabled,
it could
or
change,
yeah.
or a rule could get created that you didn't mean to get created,
Right.
like that spammer going in and adding a forwarding rule on a user,
Right.
something like that.
And that's I think in Secure Score, that's one of the things it checks is like, are there forwarding rules enabled on
Sure.
your tenant, right? And that's something you can turn off as
do,
well.
do you have a policy that prevents that from occurring?
Right.
Right.
I guess the thing too, just to take that policy as an example, there's a reason some people do want forwarding rules on their mailboxes, right? There's a legitimate reason to have forwarding rules. However, the attackers have been using forwarding rules as a way to basically attack the account without being detected in there
Sure.
as well. So.
Mhm.
I guess that's an example of a policy that, it's sort of a gray area about whether it should be on or off, right?
Right.
It's like, how do you know what's the right setting to use, right?
And in creating that policy, if you have certain users that have, a specific business need to actually forward their email offsite, you can create that kind of policy and set an
Exclude
exception
that
for that user. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all these different options to do it, but I guess my point is like a lot of that stuff is just, it's hard to understand. It's a lot of stuff, right? So
a
a
lot
lot
of
of
stuff.
switches and options and levers, right?
Yeah. And they add more switches and levers all the time.
So I guess what you're trying to do in helping us and our organization, helping our clients, is put together a framework or a roadmap of what you should do, right?
Yeah.
And again, it's probably going to change, and you're going to keep this video document up to date,
Right.
and let people be aware of the changes and things like that.
And we're not going in and explaining. We're not going in and explaining everything. We're explaining the important things.
Right, the
These
things
are
you
the
need to
things
know.
that you should do.